name's James Nicholson. Welcome to my channel. The Leasehold Reform Bill, the Leasehold Reform Act, has had its second reading this week. Now, this is going really fast. It isn't long since the King's speech. And we're going to talk about what they've got discussed so far. What are the next steps? And why have we not seen about houses having leaseholds abolished and what's being done about that going forward. So there's lots to cover in this video. While you're here, if you haven't done already, do make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification. We're going to hit 18,000 subscribers this week. Thank you to everyone that's been watching the channel since its inception. And while you're here, let's make sure people know about this. These have been the most popular videos so far on our channel. We have had literally hundreds of thousands of people that want to know about this leasehold stuff. So make sure you do two things. One, smash, tickle, do something to that like button over there. Go on, do it right now. It'll take you 2 seconds. Turn it blue. Next, share this with someone that you know that owns a leasehold property, because this is really interesting for them. So you can share on Facebook, WhatsApp, I don't know, wherever you want. Just share the video. There's a little share button down there that will help you do that. So, what is going on? Well, it's interesting that we're already at the second reading of this. It shows that the Conservatives have some real speed behind this. They want to get this moving. Now, they have obviously an election to lose. An election to try and win, more like. They're not in a good position at the moment. So they're looking to get legislation through that will really help them cement that and try and get some votes. And so they see this as a vote getter for sure. And so we've had the second reading. Michael Gove has been in Parliament talking about this, and they've been quite aggressive against landlords and freeholders. They've been talking about the fact that, I think what's brought this forward was the Grenfell disaster, and how landlords are taking in service charges, they're taking in insurance premiums, they're taking in ground rents. But when there's a problem like Grenfell, they just wash their hands of it. And that's really what's driving this to get this moving a lot faster. And so what we want to see is, what are they talking about so far? What's been omitted? And are those omissions going to be brought back in? That's what we want to talk about here. So what's been talking about at the moment is the cost of extension. So they're basically saying that the cost of extension is going to dramatically drop. However, this one's interesting. What they are saying is, and Labour brought this up, is that if you extend and you don't have a short lease, then the cost of extension could actually be going up, which isn't great, right? So let's just say you had a 90-year lease. Where you've got a problem is when you're under 80 years. So 79 years, you start at the moment getting something called marriage value, which can get quite expensive. Now, above that, the cost of extending a 200 grand property can be around 4 or 5 grand. That is looking like that could go up to 8. So what's happening is here, there is looking likely that marriage value currently as it is will go. And those that have a short lease will benefit from this. Those that have a long lease, not so much. But the long lease extensions are still going to be way cheaper than a short lease extension. And so we're still waiting on the calculations. That's a big frustration. But the thing is here, they're moving ahead with this. They're not using the word marriage value because a lot of people are saying, well, they're not abolishing marriage value. They really are. They're just using different language. It's the cost of extending a lease is going to drop significantly if you're on a short lease, but it could get more expensive marginally, 2-3 grand more expensive if you are on a longer lease. But if you're on a longer lease, maybe you don't need to extend. So that's one thing that they focused on. That's really important. Next is the length of the lease is still in here and still moving forward. This is a real good one because effectively, and the language used by Labour and Conservatives in this discussion is effectively this squashes leasehold and makes it very, very similar to being a freehold property. So when you do need to extend your lease, or if you wish to extend your lease, you can extend it right now by 90 years. That's what the standard term extension is right now, 90 years. You're going to be able to extend it by 990 years. I don't know about you, but very unlikely that you'll be alive in 990 years. And so you won't have to worry about that extension ever again. Neither will your grandkids or their grandkids or their grandkids. That's a good thing. And it's good to see that it's still in the bill. It's still being discussed. In fact, that's an absolute win as well. Ground rent being abolished. That one, ground rent, is not likely. It's not looking good for the ground rent to be abolished. However, when you extend, it is going to be abolished. So that's important here to understand. So when you extend your lease, the ground rent will go to a peppercorn, which is zero, right? It's pretty much zero. So that's interesting to see that that's not being abolished. They did speak about that prior to the King's speech. It wasn't included in the King's speech. So we're not looking at ground rent moving anytime soon. We already have this rule in place. If you extend your lease now, the ground rent is abolished. That is staying, and that is a frustration for a lot of people because maybe you've got a long lease right now and you've got a really expensive ground rent, especially in London. I hear people commenting below. Let me know if you've got a particularly high, or let me know what your ground rent is if you know. Those that have got a high one will know. Those that are paying like 50 quid a year, you might not realise how much it is. But do comment below with what your ground rent is. So what else is in there? So they mentioned this as well initially in the King's speech. This is still in here. So you don't have to wait 2 years to extend. What does that mean? Well, when you buy a property with a short lease and you want to extend that lease, you have to wait 2 years, which is I don't know why they ever had that, but that's what it is. So you buy a property on a short lease, you've got to sit and wait for 2 years until you can extend that lease. That's frustrating for a lot of people. Some people get around that by, when they're purchasing, the seller extends the lease at the time of the sale, and that sorts that out. But some people, they buy a property, it's got a short lease, and then they have to sit there for 2 years. Now you're not going to have to wait for 2 years. We're going to talk about leasehold being abolished in a minute, because I know that's what we want to talk about, right? And so that's important. Now, there's also a legal challenge already to all of this, and it's not looking like it's going to do much, to be honest. So the biggest freeholders have all grouped together. They're challenging this with the best solicitors, and the verdict isn't in yet, but a lot of people believe that they won't be successful in this appeal, or to block this, which is interesting how that stands already. And we knew that was going to happen. Of course, if you own millions or billions in freeholders, which some freeholds, which some companies do, you're going to fight this. Of course you're going to fight this. Next, service charges. So service charges is still in here. So what does that mean? It means more transparency. They've got to share with you what they're spending the money on. Are they getting kickbacks from certain contractors? That's been a common thing. Kickbacks from contractors isn't great. That's happened previously and does happen. So there's got to be a lot more transparency on that. Got to be more transparency on the building's insurance. A lot of these companies, they don't get the cheapest insurance for you. They get the one that gives them the most commission. And that commission can be considerable. So what they're going to have to do is not actually make a commission on it, but charge you some sort of fee for setting up the insurance. And I really don't see that being able to be more than around £500, because it's not that hard to get insurance. I don't see what that will be there. So that's interesting, the service charges here. So last is what, next is two more things. There's going to be no common hold. That was a discussion. Could we take properties from leasehold to common hold? Not going to happen. Labour said they will do that if they get into power. Let's see if that happens. And the last one is no house lease no leases on houses being abolished on new build houses. Now, this is interesting because a while ago, it was around 15% of houses that would be leasehold, normally on these big estates. And because they saw this coming along the way, now, today, that only stands at 1%. They've kind of self-managed that out. They've got rid of that. So it's only around 1% of new houses are actually leasehold. However, what's expected, the next step is this goes to committee. More amendments will be brought into this at that stage. So when it gets to the committee stage, we'll see way more amendments brought in. And it's very likely that abolishing leasehold houses on new houses. So if you live in a leasehold house, that won't change. But on new purchases, it's looking very likely that this will be brought in at the committee stage, because that is quite an easy one because it doesn't harm any existing stuff. So the challenge on that won't be anywhere. Like, there won't be anyone that's particularly challenging that because no one's impacted by that today. Right? Because it isn't something that's happening. So that's interesting to see that that's likely to go through. I don't know why they don't just include it in this so it's just done and people know that that's going to happen. But what most people are saying is it's going to be brought in at the next stage, which is the committee stage. So all in all, this is moving forward very fast. It's moving forward very fast because Conservatives, they want to have something to wave at the general election and say, we've done this. We've also brought down inflation. All these things they want to be waving around saying, stick with us and vote for us in that 2024 election. So let me know your thoughts on this. This channel will keep you updated all the time on what's going on with this leasehold rules. As soon as new stuff comes out, I will make a video on it. So do me two favors, smash the like button if you've got this far, share the video with somebody that you know should watch this. If you click the share button, it'll help you share it on Facebook, WhatsApp, text message, whatever you got, get this message out there. Do subscribe and hit the bell so you know about all the new updates, and go and check out some more content, including this video right here.